Hello and welcome to the Watch Kaki channel, where we bring you all the good and honest watch reviews. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I need all the support I can have. Thank you very much. In today's video, we are going to review this watch here on the review desk, and this is known as the DressKX. So it is from the new series launched sometime in 2019, and I would say Seiko has marketed this as a sports watch, sort of like a fixed bezel version of the 5KX or SKX model line. So of course the nickname DressKX isn't on any official Seiko documents, and it is just a nickname given by all those hardcore Seiko fans. They are quick to call this one the DressKX because it just looks like the SKX, and it is sort of a scaled down to a smaller size, and without the rotate bezel, with a fixed bezel like this, it is easier for you to dress up the watch. And I fully agree with this nickname, DressKX. So this series here is also offered in many color variations and strap options. So I've opted to review this one here. This is the SPRE63K1. So there's also a version that comes on a bracelet. So that's the 53K1 if I'm not wrong. But the main difference would be, on top of the bracelet you're also getting a polished bezel. Alright, so for this review, I've decided to go with the one that has a brush bezel, right? Because I'm always a sucker for brush surfaces on watches. So this one here, the 63 along with the 67 I think, and also the 61, the anthracite dial version, they have this one here that comes in a NATO strap, comes on a NATO as well as a brush bezel. And I would say these few models with the brush bezel, I think they are the pick of the lot. So aside from the nickname DressKX, fans are also very quick to call this one like the poor man's Explorer, okay, of a certain famous R brand, okay, very prestigious R brand, okay, that is always sold out. So again, I must say I agree with all these comparisons because they all fit in this category of Gada watch, which is a go anywhere, do anything kind of watch. So let's just zoom in a little bit as I talk to you about the specifications of the watch here. And this one here, listed as a 40mm case, I measured on my calipers. It actually measures in at 39.8mm case size. So it's negligible, the little bit of difference, so we can officially call this 40mm case size. And case thickness from the base of the display back to the top of the flat crystal, these are all Harlex crystal. Alright, so this is 11.9mm. I don't know how Seiko does their measurements. I think on the official website it says this is like 11.4, but actual measurements say that it is 11.9. Now the lug to lug distance is really short. This one here comes in at 44.5, so I would say wearability is fantastic with these models. Bezel size for this watch, the fixed bezel here, really nice brush bezel here. So the bezel size here is 38mm with a crystal size of 32.5mm. And lastly, we've got a non-screw-in crown. Alright, the crown here measures at 6.4mm. This one here is non-screw-in, but it offers just enough grip from all these knurlings and teeth you see on the crown here. It's a non-side crown, non-screw-in, so not an issue. Plenty of these Seiko 5s, they have push-pull crowns. And the movement inside this watch is a Seiko 4R35 found in all these lower-end Seiko watches. So let me just remove this NATO strap to show you. It's got a display back here on the Harlex crystal, display crystal. So let me just wipe off all these fingerprints. So it's a very plain Jane kind of workhorse movement. At the time of this video, the DressKX series, they typically go for about low $200 or just under 200 Singapore dollars, and this watch was kindly loaned to me by our boutique. Alright, so if you need to check out one of these watches, you know who to look for, Mr. Eric Lee from our boutique. So now let's move on and talk about the case design and the build qualities. So as we all can see, this is a scaled down version of the 5KX or the SKX models. So it retains the familiar design cues, namely the 4 o'clock crown, and as well as the crown guards here. They swoop and curve in really nicely. I would say it's pretty elegant here, the crown guard. Alright, swoops in really nicely. And the case here has also got a really good mix of brush and polished surfaces. So earlier on I mentioned in this video that I chose the 63 with NATO strap because I'm a big fan of all this brush finishing. So this one here has got a brush bezel, alright, and that is on the flat surface here. But if you take a look here at the sides, it's got a thin bevel here that is full polish. Alright, then it goes back to a brush surface. Okay, so really nice contrast finishing here. And of course at the case side here you will see this polished surface, and it is curved inwards, very much like SKX or Turtle series. Alright, so where the case sort of disappears when it's curved in, and I would say this one here really aids in wearability and makes the watch look a little bit thinner than what it really is. And lastly, we've got drilled lugs here. Okay, so this one here being a strap monster, I think it's fantastic that they've got drilled lugs for this one. So you know, fans will be very pleased. If you're a big fan of changing straps, you'll be very happy that Seiko has included drilled lugs here. So now I'm just going to zoom back out a little bit to show you the stock NATO strap. Okay, so I've seen many review videos on this one where the reviewer says you know, the strap is just not as good. Okay, so in my opinion, I think the strap is pretty decent. Okay, I'm sure there are better quality straps if you pay more, if you pay a higher price, like I don't know, $40 US. I'm sure you'll get a better NATO strap. But as it is, this one here I would say is pretty good quality, because you just take a look at the strap holes here, and nicely sealed, no fraying of any sort, and even the end here, the tip here, nicely heat sealed, no signs of fraying. And you know, I run my fingers here and there, you know, no discomfort, no cutting, you know, no scratching my skin. So overall I would say it's a pretty decent strap. But of course, my view is that with the DressKX series, I think it is much better to purchase the original bracelet, because this watch being so versatile, you probably do well with the original stock bracelet, and then you can go on and purchase aftermarket straps later on. And now let's move on and talk about the dial design. So this one here has got a lovely sunburst blue dial, and I really gotta tell you, this watch here looks and feels you know, much more expensive than what the actual price is. So I'm, you know, pleasantly impressed and surprised. At this price point, Seiko is rolling out a pretty nice watch. Really nice dial here with applied markers. So they've got round markers for almost all the hour markers, except the 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock. They have different markers. So we've got a triangle here and some sort of you know, long elongated kind of marker here for 9 and 6 o'clock. And again, you know, it looks classier because it's got minimal text, minimal prints on the dial. So just the automatic in cursive font at 6 o'clock, and we've got the Seiko logo which is applied, as well as the new Superman style kind of shield logo for Seiko 5. So all in all, I would say, you know, it doesn't have a lot of clutter on the dial, and I would say this dial design here is really impressive. So this being a Seiko 5, it must have the day and date complication. So that's part of the Seiko 5 requirements, and as you can see here, I'm never a big fan of white colored day or date discs, but in this case I would say, you know, it's forgivable because it sort of balances out the 9 o'clock marker. So, you know, white and white. The only difference is this one is quite a bit longer, but I think it's forgivable given the fact that you know, from afar, you know, overall it still looks pretty balanced. So the handset here is probably something new as well. I don't think it's a direct carryover from SKX or 5KX. The handsets here, they look very different, and I would say it's a new handset developed strictly for this model. So I'm pretty sure in time to come we will see other models utilizing the same handset. So I've just charged up the lume using my UV torch. I'm gonna switch off the lights now. Alright, so despite being a Seiko 5 model or a non-dive watch, I think, you know, Seiko didn't, you know, pull their punches when it comes to looming their watches. The loom pin here is nicely applied, and I would say the level of loom, the loom brightness here matches any Seiko divers. The only difference being the size of the loom plot. So obviously this one here has got smaller markers and all that. So, but overall in terms of brightness, this one here doesn't lose out. And here's a wrist shot of the watch on my wrist. My wrist is about 17 centimeters in circumference. You can see that this watch here, I would say, is more or less the sweet spot when it comes to watches, and at 40 millimeters case size with a relatively short 44.5 millimeter L to L, I think this one here wears very well. So the overall thickness of the watch, I think it can be reduced if Seiko doesn't use a display back, or if I change this one to a single pass NATO. Okay, so overall it's just great wearability with the crown here at 4 o'clock, and it wears really well, looks great on any wrist size. So let's do some size comparisons between the DressKX and some watches I've got in the studio with me today. So first up, I'm going to compare this with the Turtle. I think the Turtle right now is the closest I have to an SKX or a 5KX. So here it is in terms of size. One look you can tell that the Turtle is much bigger due to the case design and blue dial versus blue dial. I think this is really cool. So overall, this one here is a much manageable size. So even in terms of case thickness, one is like 13.5 and this is like just under 12 millimeters. And here's a comparison between another Garda watch I have and the Zin 556 here. Is so versatile, and I really rate these two watches in the same category. They're just Garda watches, go anywhere, do anything, very similar in design, cues, simple, about the same size. This one here measures 38.5. In terms of thickness, they're also about the same, with the Seiko being about 1 millimeter thicker. So I know I don't normally do this, but here's a mini strap show to show you how versatile the DressKX series, how versatile they are. Just take a look here. I've very quickly put it on a Vario vintage leather strap, and it just fits the watch very well. This watch here, it takes on any strap you put at it. So here we've got this vintage leather look, and I think it looks fantastic if you want that look, alright, for a rugged tool watch kind of look. So even if I were to go for a rubber strap like this one, again it fits the watch very well. Okay, so it doesn't look out of place at all. Like I mentioned, this one here, it just takes in any strap you throw at it. So if you want that tactical or tool watch kind of style, it's very easy. Just put on a rubber strap. And here's a big disclaimer. I really gotta tell you, for the DressKX series, it is always a good idea to get the models on bracelets, alright, because it's easier to get rubber straps or NATOs or whatever than to buy the stock bracelet, alright. That's gonna cost you a bit more money, so it's always a better idea to get those with bracelets. But for me, because I like the brush bezel here much more, so I've decided to review this one instead. So overall, I must tell you that I have been very, very impressed by the DressKX series. I think when we're talking about best or most value for money watches, I think the DressKX series now is top of my list. Okay, I'm just really surprised and impressed, alright, that they're rolling out this kind of design, this kind of build quality at pretty affordable prices. So I think this one here is a serious contender for anyone who is looking for a Garda watch. But of course, this watch is not perfect. Personally, I would think if the watch was just a little bit slimmer, I think it'll be much better. Alright, so we're looking at about 11.9 millimeters total thickness. So if this one can just go down to the low 11s, 11.2, or even at 11 millimeters, I think that would be the perfect thickness for this watch. And here's a slight complaint from me. After handling this watch for about 3 weeks already, alright, I've had it for about 3 weeks, spent some time with it, I realized this watch here has got a really noisy rotor. Okay, I'm not too sure if this is uniform throughout the series. Okay, so the rotor here is extremely noisy. Okay, I think probably due to the it's probably due to the display case back or the lower water resistance. And there you have it. That was my full review of the SPRE63K1, affectionately known as the DressKX. Okay, and I really gotta agree, this watch here is highly versatile. Okay, so for not a lot of money, we're looking at about low 200 Singapore dollars, you're getting a watch that is truly versatile, go anywhere, do anything, and it actually looks a lot more expensive than its actual price tag. Okay, there are some watches you spend $600 and yes, it looks like a $600 watch, but this one here, if you're buying it for about $200, $220, it actually feels like you're paying about $500 for this watch. And you know, I would say it's a great move by Seiko, great product. Alright, so if you like this watch, if you like the video, please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next week. This is George. We're gonna say goodbye now. Bye bye.